Hey guys, I'm going to be reading some relationship stories today, so hope you enjoy. My 52 female husband's 59 male affair partner is being stalked and harassed, and I'm getting the blame for it. This comes from Thrower Not a Stalker. I'm at my wit's end with the situation, and I don't know where to go from here. I'll try to keep this as concise as possible, but honestly, it's been a real shit show. Earlier this year, I, 52 female, received a phone call from Amy, 37 female, telling me she had been having a years-long affair with my husband, Ben, 59 male. I know Amy only peripherally. We live in a smallish community, but we all three work in the same industry. I'm not sure what made her finally decide to come clean, but she wanted to meet in person and explain her side of the story. When I refused, she showed up at our house and made a scene. I won't get into all the sort of details, but the immediate aftermath was horrendous. Ben and I are currently in therapy, and while we are still together, our future is uncertain at this point. Why is it uncertain? He's been cheating on you for years. As if the humiliation of being cheated on wasn't enough, Amy went public about the affair on social media, making numerous videos updates on her side of the story. She has a fair number of followers on a few different platforms. We also know people in common, so this all circulated quickly around town. Amy claimed that she was just protecting the community, saying that Ben was a predator who used his position to take advantage of her, though she maintains the relationship was completely consensual. To be clear, we are relatively prominent figures where we live, and we own a successful business together. Amy described herself as a vulnerable, insecure woman who was swept away by a charming older man working in an industry she was trying to get ahead in. He strung her along, told her he loved her, and played on her emotions. According to Ben, they hooked up a handful of times over the past 3 years, usually when they found themselves at an event together without me. He insists there was no emotional involvement, and that he had been trying to distance himself from her at the time she contacted me. I still don't know which of these narratives is closer to the truth, and I probably never will. For what it's worth, Ben showed me his phone, and the communication he had with her seemed to support his story, though of course I don't know if he deleted the more damning messages. Amy has threatened repeatedly to post proof that there was an actual relationship between them, but as far as I'm aware has not done so. I know how this all sounds and how it makes me look staying in the marriage, and I can admit now that I initially directed my anger at Amy and downplayed Ben's involvement, but with everything that's happened since, I feel like I'm completely unable to pass my emotions about all this. After a flurry of scandal, people eventually lost interest in our dirty laundry, and Ben and I started the long process of deciding how to move forward. I blocked Amy everywhere so I was not tempted to check in on her. Then, about 3 months ago, I suddenly received a large barrage of notifications and direct messages on social media. I was horrified to see that they were from people I didn't know, accusing me of being behind a troll account that was viciously attacking Amy online, making comments to the effect of her being a slut, a liar, a homewrecker, not welcome in our town. This person had also combed through my social media and was posting pictures of me and Ben, saying that Amy would never have what we have. The troll was following just one other account, mine. Amy's plethora of online friends had apparently concluded that the wife was the most likely suspect. I had to make all my social media private, including my business accounts, but not before having the humiliating experience of a bunch of internet strangers telling me that I'm old and ugly and there was a reason why my husband cheated on me. I recruited a close friend to look into things, since I wasn't up to it myself, and Ben is pretty illiterate when it comes to social media. This friend went back through Amy's posts, and apparently she'd continued making regular video updates about the affair and its fallout. According to these, someone has been stalking and harassing her since she went public about it. It started with nasty anonymous text messages, saying essentially she'd be run out of town. She posted screenshots of these and said in a video she suspects they were from me. Someone also hand-delivered a threatening letter directly to her mailbox. All signs pointed to this being someone local who had both her phone number and home address, and not just a random online troll with too much time on their hands. My friend also let me know that the troll account that was ostensibly me went quiet after 2 or 3 days, and that Amy had chastised the people who went after me, saying that she didn't think that was me doing this. Things seemed to die down again, and I tried to move on. A few weeks after all this, Ben and I received a message from Amy's employer regarding some emails he'd been sent. These were all from an anonymous sender, but they were hints that I was behind them. The email address contained Ben's and my initials, and the sender's name was from my own first name. The gist of it was that certain unnamed influential people in the community were concerned about him employing Amy. The sender asked him to consider the business implications of having a prostitute working for him. There were several sexually suggested, semi-nude pictures of Amy attached, which turned out to be pictures she had posted openly on a not safe for work social media account. We assured her boss that this had nothing to do with us and that we weren't interested in jeopardizing her employment. We also made the decision to reach out to Amy, and she seemed grateful to hear from us. We wanted her to know that we had nothing to do with this, and told her that we'd be willing to help if there was anything we could do. Ben and I had already been talking about retaining a lawyer and hiring a PI. Amy asked if we could write a statement that she could post on social media saying that we do not condone this behaviour, that we supported her as a member of the community, and that we wanted the person behind it to stop immediately. It struck me as an odd request, but it seemed harmless enough if it would help. Then Amy suggested that we all meet for dinner to figure out the details and to finally clear the air between us. I shut that down immediately. I assume she's looking for closure or forgiveness or something along those lines, and I'm not interested in that. I'm sorry for what she's going through, but I don't like this woman and I never will. I certainly don't want to sit down with her and have dinner and drinks. The call went sideways from there and ended on a very strange and sour note. I drew a hard line with Ben that we were not going to be providing a statement or communicating with her directly in any way going forward, and he readily agreed. My friend still has been reporting back to me. Since the email incident, things have continued to escalate. Amy's apartment was broken into and her not safe work account hacked. She filed a report about the break-in, but the police were unhelpful since there were apparently no signs of forced entry and nothing missing. Just her belongings had been conspicuously moved around to show that someone had been there. The hack involved someone accessing her account and making a single post using a pet name she used for Ben that apparently only the two of them knew. She quickly recovered the account, but apparently in spite of changing all of her passwords, someone is still regularly accessing multiple accounts of her and possibly stealing private pics. I had initially entertained the idea that this might be the work of a misguided friend, but I no longer think so. I can't imagine anyone I know going this far. From what I've seen, the harasser seems to be trying to give the impression that it's me, and that I'm too old and unsophisticated to effectively hide my identity, but also apparently an expert burglar and hacker somehow. Amy is the obvious main target, but this unhinged person seems happy to have me as collateral damage. Since our call, Amy has posted videos openly wondering whether Ben and I are indeed the perpetrators. She's furious with us, saying that our only concern is for our own reputations and asking why we refuse to come out publicly and demand a stop to the harassment, since if it's not us, this person at least seems to be acting on our behalf. She says it's unfair that she's the only one suffering the consequences of the affair, a statement with which I wholeheartedly disagree. She hasn't gone quite so far as to accuse me explicitly, but she has said that she thinks that Ben knows who's behind it. He's adamant that he doesn't, and I believe him. My close friends have all been supportive, but I know that there are rumors circulating about me. My own social media is all still locked down because I get harassed by Amy's friends anytime she posts if I open it up. I'm looking for any advice on how to proceed. Obviously, we're going to be pursuing this through legal channels, and if anyone had similar experiences and has advice to share on that front, I'd love to hear it. But in terms of my relationship, I'm furious at Ben for putting me in this situation. Originally, I felt strongly that I wanted to save my marriage, and this all has me wanting just to walk away. However, I don't want to give some crazy stalker the satisfaction of making that decision for me. And honestly, and how do I know if divorcing Ben will even allow me to extricate myself from this situation? How can I reasonably move forward when this person is keeping us trapped in the past? How much support do we owe to Amy? I do not like her one bit, but I don't think she deserves this treatment by a long shot, and it seems more and more like she might be in actual danger. Besides the break-in, there was also an incident where she was followed by a van with darkened windows. We certainly have more resources available to us than she does, but I feel like every time she has an opening, she uses it to try to insert herself in our lives. She says in her videos that she still loves Ben despite all of this. If this marriage, or even just my sanity, is going to survive, I feel there can't be any further communication with her. Does keeping her at arm's length make me look culpable for the harassment? And since Amy is the one with all the evidence, how can we investigate on our own without her cooperation? Okay, that's all of it? Is it bad that I possibly think she could be making it up? Like, she already has a lot of followers. She really only gains sympathy from it. I mean, since she put it out there. Because it was 2 years ago and no updates. If you're enjoying the story so far, think about giving me a thumbs up or leaving a comment. Thanks. I'm 28 female, unsure if it's time to draw boundaries with my boyfriend, 28 male, and his coworker, late 20s female, who we got close to very quickly. This comes from It's Me 2213. Apologies for the length. I'm going to be very thorough, and also a lot has happened in a very short amount of time. For some background, and the good stuff, I have been best friends with my boyfriend since 2013. We even lived together during graduate school for 2 years before we started dating. We even started dating in 2016 when we were roommates. So we've been together for about 2.5 years now and have lived together for a lot of that time. We did a brief stint of long distance when we got jobs in different locations after school. In January of this year, he moved states to be with me again, and I still can't get over how amazing that was of him. We are now living together again in our own apartments and we couldn't be happier. He's my best friend and absolutely the person I plan to spend the rest of my life with. He's funny, smart, an absolute sweetheart and a romantic, and he makes me feel so loved every day. We have talked about our future many times and I'm anticipating a proposal in the near future. Also, he has had many female friends during our time together, and this has never bothered me. I'm rarely the jealous type. He's hung out one-on-one with girls before and I had no complaints. There has been one girl I told him I was uncomfortable with and he stopped hanging out with her, but that was for a lot of reasons and not just because she was a girl. So on to the recent issue. After moving to my state, he had to pass a couple of tests in our field before he could start working. He did so and was able to secure a job in early June. He likes his job so far, and he generally likes and gets along with his co-workers, but he hadn't really made any real friends yet. He's hung out with my co-workers, sort of friends too. I'm also pretty new to the area, and he likes them as well. But no one he would hang out with one-on-one. I know he's missing having a group of friends back in his home state where he moved from. About a month ago, maybe a little more, he started mentioning one coworker a lot. We'll call her Liz. At first it was just in passing, oh my coworker Liz said this or that. It also turns out Liz used to work for an organisation that works closely with my organisation. So she knows a lot of people that I work with and what's going on with my job and field of work. So it's a small world kind of thing. She would mention someone I knew or something about my job, and he would tell her he also knew that person because of me, that kind of thing. But he started talking about her more and more often. I'm talking probably every single day over a few weeks he would have a story about Liz or something she said, so I knew they were talking or hanging out at work a lot. He did say that Liz mentioned she wanted to meet me and she has a fiancé that she lives with, so that made me feel good. Nothing to worry about, and I was happy he was making a friend here. Liz actually lives nearby us, in a temporary place because they are moving around for her fiancé's job. So a couple of weeks ago, he tells me that Liz suggested they start carpooling to work together. Their office is about 30 minutes away without traffic, but our city always has traffic, so it's more like 45 minutes each way most days. Honestly, this made me a little uncomfortable, since that meant they would be spending 1 to 1.5 hours alone together in the car every day they rode together. But I didn't say anything because they wouldn't be carpooling every day. Some days they work in the office and other days they work on projects around town. So this would only be on days where they both go into the office, maybe 2 to 3 days a week. Besides, he only mentioned it in passing as an idea, at first. A few days later, as he was heading out the door, he said, "Okay, I'm gonna go pick up Liz and head into work." I was surprised because he never told me they decided to definitely start carpooling together, but it obviously wasn't a big deal. He never mentioned it again, so as far as I know, that's the only day they've ridden together. It hasn't been an ongoing thing. I was fine with this. Things started intensifying quickly last week though. As I mentioned, Liz and her fiancé were in a temporary place before, so they decided to start looking for a permanent apartment. My boyfriend casually mentions to me one day last week that they were actually interested in our building, and that they wanted to come see it in the next day. This came out of left field to me. Our building is very nice. It's a luxury building in a good area downtown, but there were also tons of similar buildings in the area. But I figured they were just checking out all kinds of places, and ours was probably one of many on the list. So late last week, they came by our building for a tour. I actually saw them briefly on the elevator, and we met for the first time. But they were being given a tour by management, so we didn't hang out. Well, later that night, Liz texted my boyfriend that they decided to rent in our building. I honestly didn't know what to say to that because I wasn't thrilled. I felt like now they will definitely want to start carpooling together every day they can, and they will start becoming even closer. My boyfriend was obviously very happy about it when he told me. I just kind of asked if they were looking for any other places and why they weren't looking any closer to where she and my boyfriend work. And he said they just really liked this building and her fiance works more closely to our area, so it works for them to live here. Obviously there was nothing I could say, so I just said cool. Ever since then I feel like they've already been talking more and more. They text and have called each other a couple of times. To be fair, as far as I know, it has all been either work or apartment related. But I also don't really see his phone and have no idea how much they actually talk. A couple of final things prompted me to write this post. Up until now, I wasn't thrilled about all of this, but could deal with it. This weekend, we travelled to visit my family for a holiday weekend. Yesterday, during a family lunch, he got up and went into the other room with his phone for a few minutes. When he came back, I asked, "Where'd you go?" And he just said, "I was getting a phone call." Later, I asked who was calling him at lunch. He said it was Liz with a few questions because they were moving in at the time. This slightly bothered me because I feel like if I hadn't asked, he wasn't planning to tell me it was Liz who called. He went back to our city late last night and I'm staying in my hometown with my family for a couple of extra days. While driving him to the airport, I got a random thought, so I asked, "You're just going to take Uber back home, right?" That's how we got to the airport. He kind of hesitated and then said, "I was actually going to see if maybe Liz could pick me up so I don't have to spend money on an Uber." Yet again, I felt like he never would have mentioned this to me if I hadn't asked. Also, we live close to the airport, so an Uber is not expensive, and he makes good money. I reminded him that Liz and her fiance were moving that day and probably did not want to come pick him up at the airport. I would have said this for anyone. Moving sucks. And he thought about it and agreed. He didn't end up asking her. I don't know what to do from here. On one hand, I am genuinely glad he's making a friend. There are no red flags so far. Things seem 100% platonic. Plus, she has a fiance, so we could all be couple friends. On the other hand, he seems to be getting really close to her really quickly. He talks about her constantly, a lot more than I explained in this post. They are probably going to be riding together often, and I feel he is starting to, unconsciously or not, kind of hide some interactions with her from me. Is it time to set boundaries? If so, what would reasonable boundaries even be? Is carpooling together too much? Is it okay for them to hang out alone together outside of work? I have no idea, and I've never been in this situation before. I don't know how to talk to him about this. I just feel like we need to have a talk now that she's living in our building, but maybe I should wait and see if things escalate. Update. A lot has happened since my last post, and I got some good advice there, so I wanted to post an update. After I made the last post, I came home from the trip with my family a couple of days later. I told my boyfriend that I wanted to talk to him about something, and I brought up his friendship with Liz. I basically brought up all of my concerns from the post. I told him that I didn't want to discourage him from having a friend, but I also felt like they were talking quite a lot and spending a lot of time together, and it was starting to make me feel uncomfortable. My boyfriend took it really well. He immediately reassured me that he only saw her as a friend, and that he hadn't even realized how it could look to me. When I brought up how I felt like he wasn't being forthcoming with information, like how he didn't mention the phone call from her, he said that was 100% unintentional. He then immediately asked what he could do going forward to make me feel more comfortable. He offered to stop carpooling with her and to cut down on contact with her except for work-related stuff. I told him I didn't have a problem with the carpooling because financially it does make sense. He spends a lot of money on gas, but maybe he could try to text and call her outside of work a bit less. I also told him I would really love to meet her and her fiance, and he enthusiastically agreed. He set up a hangout for the following weekend. The two of us and Liz and her fiance all went out for drinks at a bar by our building. They moved in by now. It was actually really fun. It turns out we all have a ton in common. Liz and I do very similar work, and we all have common nerdy interests. It was a little awkward at first, as meeting new people often is, but once we all got comfortable, we had a blast. From there, we all became fast friends, and Liz and I have developed our own separate friendship too. We text often, we go over to each other's place for dinner sometimes, and we hang out on weekends. I can honestly say I really like Liz and her fiancé as a person, and I trust her 100%. I no longer have any problems with our friendship with my boyfriend at all. They do still carpool sometimes, but they've never hung out alone outside of work. It's always the four of us. I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Finally, I have a separate but slightly related update. My boyfriend is now my fiancé. Less than a month after I made my post, he took me out for a really beautiful and romantic dinner. When we came home, our apartment was covered in roses and candles. I was so shocked I could barely move as he got down on one knee and proposed. I said yes, and then cried for about 2 hours as we called all of our friends and family. It was absolutely perfect, and we are getting married next year. It turns out that Liz actually helped him plan the proposal, and that was part of why they were talking a lot too. Since she lives in our building now, he had all the flowers, candles, champagne, and accessories shipped to her and kept at her place until he was ready for them. He even had her hold on to the ring this week before he did it. After he proposed, she came upstairs and took photos for us and cried with us. That was the moment I realized what a great friend she is to both of us. So communication saves the day again. We're all great friends now, and Liz and I have regular girl nights to plan our weddings together. I am so glad it ended like that. That's absolutely adorable. You're possibly a lifelong friend from this. If you stayed to the end, thanks for enjoying the video. Think about possibly subscribing to me or giving me a thumbs up. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.